Welcome back to That's How You Feel podcast. Now, it is an absolute honor and privilege, especially coming from Porterville, California, to have a conversation with our next guest on That's How You Feel podcast. Now, he is an American professional mixed martial artist who most recently competed in the bantamweight division of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, the first Bellator Featherweight champion, and the winner of the inaugural Featherweight tournament. He is also the former Tachi Palace Fights bantamweight champion. A professional record of 18 wins, 7 losses, 5 of those coming from knockout. He's one bad mofo.
Yep.
And from our hometown, Porterville, California,
Deville.
we welcome Joe Soto. Joe Soto, thank you for coming on the show, bro.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, when we first DM'd you, we were talking about like, fuck, dude, we gotta have Joe Soto on the show, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. It's kind of a long shot, when we were first starting. And luckily, you fucking DM'd us back. You were cool and everything, bro. So, you were a big stepping stone into, what we want to do. Especially, we're a big advocate in the people that become successful out of our city.
Right.
And, you're pretty well known here for sure. So it's an honor, bro, for real.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Cool. You know what I mean? Thanks for having me on. It's always cool to, help out other people or be on whatever, they got a show coming up and they're from Porterville. Yeah, definitely going to help. Whatever I can.
Yeah, well, let's get right into it, man. Talk about your upbringing, man. Porterville, California. Talk about your family. I know you're a married man. You have a couple children. Talk about that a little bit, man.
Yeah, I grew up here. Right there, Sierra View. I was born. Started wrestling like in 8th grade. Right there at Bartlett Middle School here in town, and went to Porterville High. Yeah, Bobcat.
That's the rivals, bro. I'm Burt Middle.
Oh, okay. And then
I'm a Mustang. I'm from Pioneer.
Oh shit! All right, we got all the schools. We got all represent. But yeah, and then I went to Porterville, so I kept wrestling there. I played football a little bit too, and then after high school started fighting, But yeah, I grew up here.
Football. The word that you were pretty nice. What's up with that?
I was pretty good. That was my first love. That was my first love. I thought I was gonna get in the NFL one day.
Right.
But I got into high school and I was still the same size as fucking junior high.
What position were you?
Running back.
Okay.
Since I was small, since I was like 10. I mean, I could do it all. I could shift, I could run you over, I could stiff a lot of people, you know what I mean? It took usually a couple guys, even though I'm small, to get me down. I stayed on my feet pretty well. So, yeah, I was pretty decent. I was just small, and like, I was pretty fast as a kid, so I was always really good at Pop Warner,
Yeah.
My speed developed really fast, and I was pretty strong already. But once I got into high school, everybody their speed caught up to me. And I was still pretty quick, but not on that level to where I could go anywhere with it, and I wasn't big enough either. So, and I fell in love with wrestling around the same time as I got into high school. So I figured, I was gonna make it in the NFL, So I just took off from wrestling. I was getting real successful in that, and that's kind of, the lane I stayed in was wrestling.
Yeah, so let's talk about your high school career a little bit. You were a 2-time CIF All-State. You won a state championship in 2005. What was that experience like? Being the fucking man, bro. That must have been nice.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was a lot of hard work. It was crazy. It just happened so fast. But I started wrestling in 8th grade.
Okay.
And then my first year actually of wrestling, I took 5th in the state in wrestling as an 8th grader. And then the next year I went to high school and I barely made the varsity. I was still pretty good, but there was a senior there and I barely made the varsity my freshman year. And I didn't really make it anywhere. I took like 3rd in league and then I was out by the next tournament. And then my sophomore year I came back and I had a really good season. And I was ranked in the state, and I ended up taking. Actually, I wasn't ranked in the state my sophomore year, but I went to state and ended up taking 7th in the state.
Damn, that's good.
So,
nice.
And then like the following year, my junior year, I was ranked number 1 in the state. I was winning a lot of tournaments, either placing 1st or 2nd, but going into the state, I was like number 1. I ended up getting upset and I didn't even place. So it was a big heartbreak. And then my senior year, I came back and went undefeated and won state.
Tough.
Won state, went to nationals, took 7th in the country.
Nice. So that was high school.
Kind of
to us about, where did you do after high school? Where did you go, or what happened after high school?
Well, high school is after high school is kind of complicated, but there's a lot of things going on. I got in trouble when I was in high school my senior year. I got in a fight. I started a fight, and so I was kind of going to court for that, for being in trouble my senior year, and I was going to court, but then they allowed me as I was going to court to continue on with education.
Okay.
And I went out to Iowa Central, and I wrestled out there for a few years, But yeah, I went out there and I placed like second, I took third my first year. I was ranked number 1 both years for junior college in the nation, and then I took third my freshman year and second my sophomore year. But I got kind of upset both years by guys I beat. It was just close matches, but
Right.
No, I noticed John Jones was actually one of your roommates, correct?
Yeah, John roommate. He was like the first guy when I was on my recruit trip. He was on his recruit trip, and we met each other. And I was like, "Who is this big ass dude?" And then I kind of remembered they told me, "Oh, this is John Jones. He beat Patrick Bond." So there was this other guy when I was in high school. He was like number 1 in the nation. I seen him in a tournament down south in LA, and his name was Patrick Bond, and he was like the nastiest dude ever. Same kind of built, like long, tall, black guy, just like John.
Right.
Nasty, just killing everybody. And then I remember at National, somebody beat him, upsetted him. And later on, I came to find out that was John. And I ended up meeting John, and we ended up liking that school. And we were like, yeah, well, let's come here next year. And we ended up.
Oh, so you guys talked about it
back.
beforehand and met up there.
Yeah, well, once we met up at that school, we were like, hey, let's come. Like, we were both on a recruit trip, so we're like, hey, we like it. Let's come back. So we ended up coming back that next year. Because I think we were seniors that when we were on a recruit trip. So, yeah, we ended up coming back that next year and ended up rooming together.
You guys still keep in touch now? You guys still tight?
Yeah, I mean, not really tight, but, he'll reach out. We'll talk once in a while, probably like once a year, once every 2 years. He'll hit me up out of the blue. And, so it'd be a pleasant surprise sometimes to hit me up. And just like we never left, we continue that relationship. Yeah.
Hey, that's a hell of a team you guys had. Yeah, Cain Velasquez too, no?
Cain was there 2 years before us.
Oh, okay.
But we had Colby Covington. Colby Covington came my next year, my sophomore year of college. So he was our roommate too. Ended up rooming with me and John. But Cain was like I said, 2 years before. I think we had got there. I was in the fighting, so I always talked to the coaches about it and stuff like that. But I think, but they had mentioned Cain was there. And but he was at Arizona, I think, at the time.
Oh, okay.
And but I remember seeing him like my senior year. I went to go watch the Pac-10s, and I remember seeing him wrestle. I remember this big ass Mexican dude with brown pride on his chest from Arizona State.
You had it already?
I think he had it.
Okay.
But I just remember he had some crazy ass like curly hair, long ass hair, and he was just mean. And I always remembered him. So that was my senior year or my senior year. And then like when I went to Iowa Central, they mentioned that he went there, and I was like, oh, yeah, I know that guy. And then I always kind of followed him through wrestling, and then I seen him later on transition to MMA. There's a lot of, like, UFC fighters that I had met prior to, like,
that's crazy.
The UFC. Like John, Kamaru Usman, he's the champ at 170. I met him through John in Iowa. We were out there. We went on a recruit trip to Iowa University with me and John, and we were out partying or something after the football game. And we were just hitting up bars and shit. And we ran into Kamar and John introduced me to him. I just kind of always remembered him, seeing him around. And then when I was kind of fighting in Bellator, I seen him start to get into MMA. And then now he's the UFC champ at 170, dominating. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy. Hey, can we say that Iowa Central Community College is a powerhouse now? Look at all these names that came through.
Yeah, I think it is probably. I mean, how many champions?
Alabama football for this, for wrestling.
Yeah, so they have John was a champion, Cain was a champion, Colby's the interim champ. I fought for about those 4 guys right there that did really well.
Hey, but would you say that Iowa was a perfect place for you? Because I know you said you got in trouble with the law for whatever reason, but going out to Iowa, I'm sure it's pretty hard to try to get into trouble out there. No.
Oh, you can get into trouble anywhere now.
Yeah.
Nah, it was cool.
It
it was definitely good to get away. There was a lot of negativity at the time because I did I kind of that incident that happened and so it was good for me to get away and kind of focus on wrestling. I try to stay straight. I didn't really party too much. Once in a while I would, but it was good for me to get away and focus on wrestling. And like you said, there's not a lot to do in Iowa. It's kind of like Porterville, actually.
Okay.
Like you're in an agriculture area. It's a small town. We were in a small town in Fort Dodge, so it was a good place to go, and it was a good transition for me. It was just a good fit, and then from Iowa to fighting, like a good transition because the Iowa style is so brutal and so like tough and fighting, or you know what I mean. Like we used to fight in the room all the time. That was just that kind of style, So it was a good transition from Iowa to fighting.
So now let's transition. When did you get introduced to fighting? So after college, how did that start?
Well, I started like my senior year. So like I said, I got in trouble, and one of my friends that kind of like worked for my lawyer, a guy I knew that worked for my lawyer. I went in, I was talking to the lawyer or whatever, and he was like, "Hey, you're Joe Soto that wrestler, blah blah blah." And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, "Have you ever thought about fighting like professional or like MMA?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I was kept track of it since I was a kid. My uncle used to watch like UFCs, like since they started, on the black box. You guys remember those illegal boxes, the black ones? No,
no.
Hell yeah. Okay, so
now.
my uncle used to watch the UFCs on that. So, well, anyways, though, he was like, yeah, and I used to go up to the fights like right here in Porterville, and I was interested in doing it, but I just didn't know where to train. I told him, yeah, I'm interested. I just didn't know where to train. He goes, yeah, my buddy does it in his garage. And he was like, "You down to go train with him?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I ended up going to his buddy's house and practice and rolling some jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I started. So like my senior year, like at the end of my senior year, like during that summer, 2005 is when I started training. Jiu-jitsu and mainly grappling. We didn't really have a lot of striking in the garage at the time, and I started training then. Then I went to school, and then when I would come back on my breaks, like on the summers, I would train, and sometimes I would roll with the guys there too after practice. But I was always definitely involved. I thought that was something I was probably going to do or at least try.
So when was your first fight, and what was that experience like? I mean, going into the octagon with somebody where it's kill or be killed mindset, your adrenaline has to be through the fucking roof. How was that experience? Your first fight?
Yeah, well, my first fight I fought after my freshman year of college. I came back the next summer, and was it 2006? Yeah, 2006, 2007, something like that. And my buddy got me a fight. I think I needed some money at the time, or I wanted to buy a laptop or something. And I don't even know if that was enough money. I don't even know if I made enough money to buy a laptop. But I think that was the goal, bro. I think I made like $300. I think my mom pitched in the rest. But so I got a fight. They hooked me up this fight up right here at Eagle Mountain. I think it was Gladiator Challenge at the time. So I fought a guy. I was 0-0. I fought another guy, the same record, and I was scared, but I was kind of still in competition mode while I was still competing a lot, and I was kind of scared. But then I thought this guy, I'm like, this guy he's 0-0 too, so he's probably more scared than me. I've been to all these state tournaments, national tournaments. I've competed over like 300 wrestling matches, maybe more. I'm like, this poor guy's probably way more scared than me, so that kind of calmed me down. And I remember, it was pretty scary, but I got through it and I did really well. I finished the guy in 3 minutes maybe. So it was. And then I went back to school the next year. Yeah, so it was cool.
When did you feel like, this is something I can actually do for a living? You know what I mean?
Well, after college, I came back and I started fighting here in Porterville. I dropped out of school. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm not really into it. I'm kind of wasting my parents' money. They're sending me money out here to survive. It's like, I think I want to, and I was watching a lot of Pride videos every day, and I was just like in love with the sport of fighting. And I wanted to do it, and I was so depressed, like being out there, and I just wanted to come fight. Like, I don't know. I just had like a desire in my heart to fight. So came home, started fighting. I won like 2 or 3 fights in a row, or 2 fights in a row, and then a manager hit me up. Hey, we could get you in this Bellator tournament. But they wanted me to move to Santa Rosa, Northern California, a little bit, like an hour and a half north of San Francisco. So I moved up there, and then once I got my first Bellator fight, that was the big fight. I was in this tournament. I was like, if I do good in this fight right here, if I can do good, successful, then I know this is like I belong here. You know what I mean? So I ended up winning that first fight, and I was like, all right, I could do this for a living. Like I belong here because the guy had I think I was like 4 or 5-0 at the time, and the guy had like 20 fights already. I had to get it okay by the commission. Like they had to see all my amateur wrestling stuff to okay the fight because he had so many more fights than me. So after I beat him, he was a big prospect from Canada, Ben Greer. After I beat him, I was like, okay, this could be what I'm doing for a living. Like I definitely belong with these guys. So I would say after my first Bellator fight, I knew this was what I was going to do.
So you're a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? That's what you said?
Yeah.
Why did you choose that fighting style? Was it one of your mentors, or was it one of your trainers that got you into that? Or why that fighting style?
It's crazy. Wow. I mean, it's easy. It's easy when coming from like a wrestling background, a grappling background, so just kind of it's an easier transition, I would say. To you're already used to grappling. So, but that wasn't really why I did it. It was just a natural gravitation towards it. But I don't know. It just worked out that way. Well, like I said, when I seen some of the first UFCs, I was a kid. I want to say I was like in 4th or 5th grade or something like that. And I remember seeing Hoist, beat all these bigger guys. And so that was the first time I kind of knew about jiu-jitsu, And I told my parents, I was in elementary school. I was in Olive Street School.
Yeah. So, and you went to Olive?
Yeah, I went to Olive.
Let's go. And, what track were you in? You remember tracks?
Yeah, yellow track. Yeah.
Oh, he's good.
See, I'm on the west side, so I didn't have the.
See, I was
a
blue
system.
track. Do you know how that system? I just recently learned
hold
about.
Hold on, wait. You're in blue track at Olive?
Yeah.
That's all like Spanish speaking, all right? So
that's what I'm saying. Did you?
Okay.
You
I
know
don't know any Spanish, bro.
Okay, so the system was like, so red track was like, people that only speak Spanish. Blue track was okay. They know a little bit of English, but they're mostly Spanish. And then I think it's yellow track and green track, right?
Yeah, green track was for yeah. But there was a lot of Asians in green track too. But those two, yellow and green, were like, English speaking. But yeah, so what was it saying before that? Before Olive?
So you
I don't remember. So I went to Olive, but what was it saying before that? I lost track.
We're talking about your style of fighting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so when I was at Olive, I was that young where I remember telling my parents, hey, can I get some jiu-jitsu lessons? Like I want to start training jiu-jitsu. So my mom looked around because I was already into like fighting. I watched Bruce Lee movies, Van Damme movies. So I was interested in fighting. I wanted to be Van Damme machine, blood school. That's what I wanted to do. So anyways, I seen Hoist killing it, and I was like, can you give me some jiu-jitsu training? She looked it up, but there was nothing around here at the time. You know what I mean? So she put me in karate, like Shotokan karate. And I did that for like a while until I must have been 9 years old. Yeah, because right when I turned 10, I got out of it and I started playing football. I was about the age I could play tackle football. So I just thought, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to play football. And I kind of forgot about fighting and just went to football for a while. And then, like I said, but I was kind of interested in grappling already. That's what I wanted to do because I've seen Hoist killing it. And so I knew that was the best style to, get or try to do. But like I said, after my senior year, when I met my friend Paul, and I started training in his garage, he was primarily a grappler. Okay. He was. We were training. I was training with Paul. He didn't have a belt at the time, but we were training with a really good purple belt, Ron Halsey, who's a black belt now, and one of the best grapplers from the Valley. One of the best coaches. He trains at Elite in Visalia. Okay. So, that's kind of how I got into grappling. So grappling was my first, or jiu-jitsu was the first thing I started training. So that's kind of how I became a pretty good grappler right away.
So I say, let's move on to let's talk about Bellator.
We touched on a little bit, yeah.
Let's touch about that a little bit.
You got signed to Bellator. You end up winning the season 1 Bellator Featherweight champion or tournament. against Yahir Reyes by submission, correct? And,
Yeah,
I read a story. I just want to know if it's true or not. Like a few days before the championship, you cut your eyelid or something.
Yeah.
While you're wrestling, warming up, and had to go to the hospital. You knew you couldn't get stitches because they wouldn't let you fight, I believe, right? So your homies took you to a beauty parlor or something. You want to talk about that story?
So I'm fighting for the championship. I got the check right there, big ass check too. It was so the whole tournament was like, if you win the whole tournament, you get 175,000. So the first fight was 25,000. If you win it, second fight was 50,000. The last fight was 400,000. So I'm getting ready, and I'm about to start cutting weight. You know, I'm like, all right, I want to grapple for like 10 more minutes. So I get one of my friends. He's huge. He's like an 85 pounder, you know. But I'm like, hey, let's grapple. And one of my other friends is like, hey, don't grapple, just go cut weight. Like, I'm like, no, I want to get a little bit better, a little bit more sweat, you know. He's like, don't do anything. You're gonna cut yourself. I'm like, I'm not gonna cut myself. I've been wrestling my whole fucking life. I never got cut. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then he's like, all right. So I go up and put 5 minutes or 10 minutes on the clock, and there's literally probably like a minute left or some shit. And I take this guy's back. He stands up and he tries to like reach behind, and he fucking elbows me right in the eye. And I'm like hard, and I look. I'm like, oh fuck. And I look and it's just blood everywhere, you know. And I run in. And I start screaming because I'm thinking like 100 G's in my head, you know. I'm like, I'm fucked.
Yeah, bro, fuck.
And I'm like, fuck. So I run to the office, like, because we had a big gym. Run to the office. My manager's in there. And he's like, what happened? I'm like, cut myself. He's like, let me see it. I go, all right, let me know if it's bad. I show me. He's like, oh fuck. He's like, it's bad.
Fuck 100 G.
We call like my boxing coach. My boxing coach is like, you're a fucking idiot. What are you doing? Like, so we had a team doctor at the time. So like anytime we got cut or anything, we'd call him up and we could meet him in his office. Or no, was it? We didn't even go to him at the time. Did we go to Finesse? No, I didn't go to that. I'm lying. I went to emergency or some shit. I went to a hospital. And, but I remember, so we were there and one of my buddies kind of always take care of me. We were talking to the doctor and we're like, hey, like I got to fight in like 3 days. And I was like, we can't stitch this thing. We need you to super glue it. And hold on, my son's right here. So I'm like, yeah, we need you to super glue it. And he was cool with it. He's like, all right, we'll super glue it. It's not going to heal as well, but we'll super glue it. So I just super glued it, and we flew down to Ontario. That shit was swollen. I iced it and shit, but the swelling went down by the time we got to Ontario. Like I think it was like 2 days later or something on a Friday, Thursday or Friday. I don't remember. But I wore a hat like this the whole time, and so right before we were gonna do like the medicals, you know, like because the doctors always check you. We went out to we found like an outdoor mall area or something down in Ontario, and we went to Macy's. We went to a makeup artist and we're like, hey, can you cover this up? So I had it was like black, not black, but it was on top of my eye here. I don't know if there's a scar there, but
oh yeah, you can see that.
But she matched the makeup up and she put makeup on my eye, covered it up, and I wore my hat. And when the doctor did his doctor checks, you know, my friends were around. They were kind of distracting them, joking with them. And then, so then he cleared me. He didn't see the cut. And then, so that was crazy. But then, like, so we got to fight. I got this fucking cut over my eye. I warmed it up in the back. And there's probably like 10 to 15 minutes before I'm about to go out there. And I'm like, all right, I hit up my boxing coach. I'm like, hey, my boxing coach's name is Rosendo Sanchez. And he's Daniel Cormier's boxing coach right now.
Oh, shit, okay.
So on the next fight, you'll see him. He's a little guy, talks a lot of shit. But so I'm like, hey, give my mouthpiece. And he's like looking for it. He was kind of drinking, I think, that day too. And he was kind of running around in the stadium, messing around, all hypey, you know, like all crazy. And he ended up losing it, so couldn't find my mouthpiece. And then luckily my coach Paul, the one that he's from Porterville, I started training in the garage with him. He was like, dude, I got 2 mouthpieces, but they're formed already. He's like, you're gonna have to try to wear one of these. So I ended up getting one of his. I tried to get the stadium water to kind of soften it up so I could try to reform it, but it didn't work. So I was wearing somebody else's mouthpiece going out a cut. this mouthpiece didn't fit me.
Good thing it wasn't during Rona season, bro.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And I'm about to fight the biggest fight of my life. And I was thinking in my head, like, I was scared, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm meant to win this shit. All this crazy shit happening.
You're already pissed.
Something's trying to stop it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, this something good's about to happen. So,
right.
You know, but that's why I went out there and I took the guy down and I was going crazy on him. I was trying to finish him right away because I was scared that cut was going to open up. It ended up opening up, but it didn't really bleed. So, yeah, but that story was kind of, yeah, it was crazy. That was a crazy time.
That's a true story, huh?
It is a true
It's a
story.
true story.
It's
Yeah,
a badass story, man.
There's probably some other stories. There's so many stories about, like, one time I was hella sick too, like before a fight, and I think I ended up going to the ER. Like I don't know if I came back. So we would weigh in in Tachi, and then I think I would come back home. I don't know if I stayed there. I think I was sick or some shit. Or I came back home and I was sleeping and I couldn't sleep. My dad took me to the ER because I was sick as hell. And this is like the night before the fight. They're like, "Oh, you're just sick. Like nothing's wrong with you. You're just sick." Blah blah. But my throat like was hell of like it was just burning. You know, like fucking so sore. But I kind of figured out what it was. Like every time I used to cut weight, after I would cut weight, I would drink cold water, like hella cold water because you're thirsty as shit. And I would always get sick. Like it happened to me like 3 times. So then ever since that last time, I stopped doing that. I would just drink warm water. But anyways, like, so I went into this fight like hella sick one time too. Like I thought I was gonna get my ass whipped. This is like 3 fights before I got in the UFC. I wasn't gonna fight. I was gonna call the promoter and tell him, "Hey, I can't fight." You know, I was feeling like shit. I was sick as fuck. But I just had my daughter, and I was like, you know what? I need some money. Like, we need to buy our crib. We need to buy all this shit. So I'm like, I'm gonna just go take the ass whipping and get a paycheck. I ended up winning the fight. You know, I did pretty good. I beat him in the second round, I think, second or third round. But that was another crazy one because I was just so sick going into that fight. Like, I could barely warm up, and I thought I was gonna get my ass whipped. Like, I was scared as shit too. I thought I was really gonna get fucked up that day. Right. But somehow I did good, you know, and I won.
That's all that matters.
Yeah,
so there's like a lot of crazy stories like that.
Yeah. So I one thing I read, I don't know if you've been on your Wikipedia page. It was pretty fucking cool. You have a Wikipedia page with all your fucking information. I wish I had that.
It's been a long time.
But I read on there you suffered a retina, a detached retina in one of your fights.
Yeah.
Dude, what was that? What was that like? What the fuck?
Yeah, well, that happened like, I don't know if it was because of a fight, you know, like I've had like a lot of eye problems. Like when I started fighting, I had bad vision, so I was like, let me get LASIK done, you know, like so I could correct my vision, so I don't wear contacts in the cage. And I ended up getting PRK done. It's like basically LASIK. It's a little bit older procedure or something, but it's better, I guess, for fighters. So I got PRK done, so laser surgery, and I ended up. It worked for a while, you know, but then it ended up regressing. Like my vision came back to what it was. You guys still? Yeah. Now that my vision came back to what it was, so it was good for a while. Like I got it right before I moved to Santa Rosa to start training for that Bellator tournament. I got it done. They were calling me, "Hey, come over here and train." I'm like, I'm waiting for my eyes to heal. You know, I had to wait a month or whatever it was. I don't know how long it was. So, anyways, I'm training for the Bellator fights, and then I noticed my eyes like start getting worse and worse, and I'm training for these fights, and then I developed like a scar tissue over my eyes from the surgery. So like in that first season, that first tournament, like my eyes were getting battery. Like it was weird. Like I had this, like it looked like I was looking out through a dirty ass window, bro.
Right.
So, cause like my vision was kind of blurry, and then it looked like fog on the lens of my eye, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I had to fight like that through that whole first season of Bellator. After the tournament, I ended up getting that scar tissue like lasered off. So they would go in and laser it off, or they would scrape it off, and then my eyes got a little bit better, you know. And then, so I kind of think that's what the Detached Retina was from, like, because I fought Joe Warren, I ended up getting knocked out, and a month later, I was driving back to Santa Rosa. So this is when I lost my title. I was driving back to Santa Rosa from Porterville, and my eyes started feeling weird. And when I got to Santa Rosa, I was sitting down watching TV, and I started seeing black out of the corner of my eye. It looked like, I thought it was like an eye. eyelid or something, but
Right.
or like so I started seeing black at the corner of my eye, and I went to, I think I hit up my doctor Finesse, that one I was telling you about, and then he was like, oh, you gotta go see an eye specialist. I think you might have a detached retina. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is. And he was just kind of explaining it to me.
Sounds scary as fuck.
So I went to the eye doctor. He sent me to a specialist. And then they're like, yeah, tomorrow you gotta come back tomorrow. You're gonna have emergency surgery. She's like, you're never gonna fight again. Blah blah. You could go blind if if the thing detach. It was a partial detachment. But if it detaches all the way and you don't put it back together like quick enough, you'll go blind, in that eye.
Right.
So the next day I had
Really
surgery. What's that?
You pretty scared?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I was crying, bro.
Wow.
Cause I didn't think I was going to fight anymore. Nothing.
Wow.
I think I was the first person in MMA to have that. Then a couple other fighters started having it after me. But I think I had heard Sugar Ray had it. Sugar Ray Leonard had it. Yeah, so that shit sucked, the detached retina. But that was kind of like a month after my Joe Warren fight. And the thing about that, it sucks is because right after you have it, you have to you can't run or anything. They reattach the retina. They inject like a gas bubble to keep it attached. You can't run. You have to walk. Well, first you can barely fucking walk because your equilibrium's all messed up. You're kind of dizzy. You have to sleep face down for 2 weeks. I had to sleep face down for 2 weeks on my left side. And then for 2 weeks, I had to keep my head down. Like, I can't. They don't want you to lift up and the gas bubble move and it loosens the retina, So you have to keep your head down like this for fucking 2 weeks. And you got to sleep face down. So you're just depressed, bro. Like, when you're talking to people, you can't really talk to them. You can't watch TV. Back then, the phones were shit. So, I don't even think you could be online and shit.
Everybody just think you're nonstop praying or what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but so that was a horrible thing to overcome. I mean, later on, I found out I would talk to a couple eye doctors. I had after a couple other surgeries, they're like, yeah, you just were born with weak retinas, when you were born, you just had bad eyes already. So they were probably prone to detach. But I don't know if getting knocked out kind of speeded that up. So, but yeah, that was one thing I had to overcome is that detached retina. So it was kind of hard mentally to overcome that. My next fight, I came back. I felt like I come back too early, and I ended up losing that because I was still shy about getting hit. I would spar and stuff, and I was still kind of gun shy. You know what I mean? And after sparring, I would check and see if I could still see, if I'm seeing any black spots. And so I came back and lost my next fight. So I dropped. After won my first two, lost my next. I won my first 9. I lost those next 2, and then in my next couple of fights, I started getting more comfortable getting hit again, and my confidence came back. Trying to recover from being knocked out and having that detached retina. But yeah, that was one of the most horrible injuries. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. It was bad.
That sounds tough. All right, let's move on. How did you get into contract with UFC? How did that happen, man? That's big time. Bellator. You're the guy. You're holding it down. Then you go up to UFC, man. That's big. I know coming from Porterville, but also, you earned that spot. You know what I mean? You're that fucking guy. You know what I mean? Talk to us about that. How did that happen? The contract and.
Yeah, no, I was so I fought in Bellator. Like I said, I lost my. Let me get my dog out of here real quick. He wants to get out of it. So I ended up losing my Bellator contract. I was in Bellator. I dropped 2 fights, and let me let these dogs out. I dropped 2 fights, and they released me. They ended up releasing me. So then I was a free agent for a while, and I was fighting in Lemoore right there at Tachi, and a couple other places. I think I fought in Porterville once. Anyways, I got on a little streak. I got on another little streak, and I was trying to get in the UFC, but they wouldn't sign me. I ended up getting on a little winning streak. I won 6 fights, 6 fights, 6 finishes. All pretty really good fights. But every guy, the last 3 guys I think I was beating, the UFC wanted to sign them. The UFC would be like, all right, I'm going to sign this person, and they would tell that person, if you beat Joe Soto, we'll get you in. And I would just take them out and take them out and take them out. Finally, they
left them no choice. Then kind of right.
I had no choice. They didn't want to sign me. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I was a Bellator fighter and I came from Bellator and they didn't really want to fuck with Bellator people at the time. but they finally, my manager finally. Well, actually too, I switched managers because I was wondering. I'm like, I was wondering why would the UFC wouldn't sign me? Like, I think I had like 2 or 3 wins in a row, and I was like, man, why ain't the UFC messing with me? And I didn't know if it was because of me, Bellator, or my manager at the time. So I had one manager. I go, you know what? I'm gonna get rid of this guy, and I'm gonna see if that was the problem, And I was hearing kind of some stuff about him already. There's a lot of things said about him already from other fighters that were managed by him. He never did anything bad to me, but other people were talking about him. So I was like,
it's bad business, right?
Yeah. So I was like, you know what, this guy could be the problem. And I ended up, telling him, hey, I'm gonna go with another manager, and I ended up signing with Jason House. And so I signed with Jason House. I won like 2 or 3 more fights, and then House called me one day, hey, the UFC, Sean Shelby's going to call you. I go, okay, so that's the UFC matchmaker.
Okay.
I think it was Sean Shelby or Joe Silva. It might have been Joe Silva. And he called me, hey, Joe, if we wanted to sign you to a fight, who do we talk to? Do we talk to Tom Call or Jason House? Because Tom Call was my old manager. Who do we talk to? Because Tom Call used to always hit us up about you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with Jason House now. So he goes, all right. And he ended up calling, and then Jason hit me back. Hey, they're sending you a contract. They want you to fight.
Let's go.
So that was it. And that was on 2 weeks' notice. Really, I had just defended my title at Tachi. And about 2 weeks later, they hit me up. Or no, it was like a couple days later. But they wanted me to fight in 2 weeks, I'm saying.
Okay.
So it was a short notice fight. And I was going to fight Anthony Burchak. Ended up fighting TJ. They switched it again. So I took a 2 week short notice fight, and then I switched it the day before. Ended up fighting TJ.
Oh shit! Yeah, so that's definitely the fight you're probably most known for sure. I remember it vividly when it happened. The city was buzzing for sure. So UFC debut, bantamweight championship, bro, against TJ Dillashaw in 2014. Talk about that experience. You took that fight short notice. You went 5 rounds. I mean, it was an absolute fucking brawl. Talk about that.
Yeah, it was crazy. I thought I was gonna win that shit.
Bro, I did too.
Me too.
No, but even before, because I was like, man, this shit just reminds me of the Bellator thing. Like, everything is just crazy because they switched it up to, I'm cutting weight, dying. They call me, hey, come downstairs. I end up going and talking to the matchmakers. Hey, we need you to take this fight. I'm all right. And then they're like, can you make the weight? Because it's a 1 more pound less, For a title fight, it's 135 even. So I'm already dying. I'm like, I got to lose another pound. And there's like an hour left. And they're like, you got to promise you're going to make it, blah, blah. And I go, all right. And so I end up cutting another pound. And I'm in the sauna crying because I'm like, damn, I can't believe this shit's happening again. Like, now I was hella broke at the time too. So they told me I was going to get paid more money and everything. So I'm like crying like, shit, I can't believe it for a title again. And I was going to win that one. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it was crazy because I had trained with them. Like 2 months before, like during the summer. Like the UFC wouldn't sign me, so I thought I was like, you know what, the UFC is not going to sign me. Let me go train with like the best guys in the world. I want to see where I'm at. I want to see if I can compete with these guys, So I hit up my friend who was good friends with Uriah Faber, my friend Poppies Martinez. He lives in Lemoore. Okay. And he's good friends. They're like really good friends with Uriah Faber. So I go, hey, tell Uriah I want to go up and train with him and everybody, him and Dillashaw. I think. So we went up there and I trained with Uriah and I trained with Dillashaw, and then I met Cody Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt, he had just moved there, so I met him, ended up training with him, and I did really well. And I was like, all right, I'm like one of the best in the world, And so later on, when I was about to fight TJ, I was like, fuck, this is gonna be a tough fight, but I know I can, I'm right there with them.
So that summer, how did you feel? Like you said you're with him. Like, how did you feel? Like, okay, TJ Dillashaw, all right.
It was cool. Like I felt, part of me felt good. Like I'm like, fuck, I'm one of the best in the world. Like I could beat anybody. But another part of me was sad because I was like, fuck, like I'm doing good against all these guys, and I can't get into the UFC. Like, Like these guys are the best in the world, and like, you know what I mean? And I can't get in, and yeah, so I was kind of sad, too. But then it ended up working out, and I ended up, fighting them. But yeah, I knew it was gonna be a tough fight because like it was dead even, like in training.
What?
Like,
Oh, I remember that.
like no, but in the training session, like it was.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we went for like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like dead even. So
you went in kind of feeling a little confident then.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but actually, like he did the best against me that anybody's ever done, like in training.
Mm-hmm.
TJ, so I knew it was gonna be tough. Like I was like, fuck, he's gonna be tough. Like, cause I've trained with like a lot of good people, and like as far as my size, that he was the best that anybody's ever like. It was he gave me a lot of competition, so I was like, so I knew he could beat me too, But I thought I could catch him and be better, But yeah, but I was kind of scared too. But yeah, it was a good fight. It was crazy. It was a crazy experience. It was a crazy experience. I going into that fight too, I was like, if I win this shit and win the bout, I'm fucking retiring. I'm never fighting again. I swear to God, that's what I thought. I was like, I'll probably never fight again. I'm like, you know what I mean?
That would have been the fucking most epic underdog story probably ever, bro.
It would have been the best way to go out too. Like nobody would know how good you could have been or how bad you are. Like you just win that fight and walked there. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I was just thinking that. I don't know what the fuck. I mean, I probably would have, and then they would have been like, "Hey, we're gonna offer you this much money." That would have been, never mind. Yeah. But kind of in my head, like that was just one of my thoughts. Like that'd be a cool way. Like if I win this fight, just to be done, and because I've been competing for a lot of time, and it took me a lot of years just to get there and like overcoming like a lot of shit, just to get to the UFC, like the Detached Retina thing, fighting with bad eyes. Like my eyes have always given me problems, my whole career. It sucks. Like it's always tough to fight. Like I mean, basically, bro, it's hard to see in there, like
right.
So.
What was your story you were gonna say?
Hey, so TJ Dillashaw's from Sacramento, right?
Yeah, he's from like around that area. Yeah.
Okay, so I was at that time in college and at Sacramento State. So all my buddies, they know TJ Dillashaw, so we're watching the fight, and then they're like, "Who's the other fucking guy?" I was like, "That's fucking Joe Soto from fucking Porterville, bro." So all my homies were like, "Man, he's gonna get his ass whooped. He just wants to collect the check." I was like, "No. You motherfuckers want to bet? Like my guy Joe Soto's gonna come through." And everybody.
I'm sorry you lost, by the way. I'm sorry.
No. Hey, I'll give that money every day, bro. You took him 5 rounds. Like, what? You know what I mean? So, I just think that was dope. And everybody they're like, nah, this motherfucker's real. Like everybody by the 4th round was like, Joe, like this motherfucker needs to win. You know what I mean? So like, bro, what you did for the city, what you did for people, you know what I mean? Hopefully, there's 10-year-old kids now that we'll be able to talk about that for many years to come. You know what I mean? So, what you did, and I'm still
proud of you, bro.
Me,
we're really proud of you for sure.
And that's kind of why I got into fighting. That's part of the reason too. Is to like inspire. I just wanted to do something great. First of all, I wasn't like I said, I wasn't fast enough, big enough. But I went to get into wrestling, and then I wanted to do fighting. And that was kind of why I just wanted to do something special where I could motivate people from our area. Like growing up, there wasn't a lot of like Mexicans on TV or doing anything. Like I wanted to do something big where I could inspire people from our area to do something great, or hey, look, he's right here, he's doing that. I can do that too. You know what I mean? Because it's true. Whoever you see on TV, you can do the same thing, and it's kind of gives you more confidence when that person's from your area. Like, well, he's from Porterville too. Fuck, I could do that shit. Like,
yeah.
And it's true,
And there's not many from Porterville that have made it. You know what I mean? Probably you, James Sanders,
Bear Pasco.
So I mean, it's not even a handful of people. So.
And if you remember, that was a time around too, like the drought, like when it was really bad, where like Porterville was on LA Times and like New York Times for the drought. You know what I mean? And I was like, all my homies like in college would be like, oh yeah, I've heard of Porterville. Right. Yeah, you're the drought. And like, I'm like, man, we got stuck with that. You know what I mean? But now it's like, oh, Joe Soto from Porterville. Like, hey, aren't you from there? Like, yeah, I'm from there. That's the big dog. You know what I mean? So that was big. You know what I mean? So we do appreciate that.
And you even got Joe Rogan's respect, bro. You were fucking on his podcast. He mentioned you a few times on his podcast. So you're in your respect for sure, bro.
You're a legend. Yeah, hey, Porterville needs to make a statue for you soon, bro.
That Paul Bunyan needs to be fucking
when you take down that Paul Bunyan, bro. When you put Joe Soto there.
Nah, the other one. The other one with the guy with the seeds.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Or is
know,
that, I think it is Papa
It looks
Onion.
like
Is it
Papa
Papa
Onion.
Onion? I don't
I
know.
think so.
They're cousins. I think they're cousins, bro. They're primos for sure. Joe
Yeah.
Soto, big time for sure. But hey, talk to us about the other big dog, Javier Ayala.
Yeah, my cousin.
Yeah, your cousin, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
worked with him at DC.
What's that?
I
Oh,
worked
you
with him
did?
for a summer. I was working for a little bit summer before I went to Sac State. And dude, chill, cool guy, bro. But hey, in that ring, he's a different cat.
Yeah. No. He's super nice guy. He's like, I mean, big guys are nice, man. Big guys are soft. But when when they're in the ring, you know what I mean? Like outside the ring, he's a softie. But when he's in the ring, he's a killer. But yeah,
That reminds me a lot of myself too, bro.
come off soft, but you're hard inside.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of started actually like. So I grew up always picking on him. He was bigger than me, but I'm older, so I grew up always like boxing with them, wrestling with them, torturing them, making him my other cousin fight. So I made him kind of tough, actually. So I'm taking credit for a lot of his success.
Here we go.
But and then I remember at my Bellator. Well, he even told me this. When I had my Bellator fight, when I won a championship, he went down to Ontario. And he was watching, and he said after the fight, like he was like, "Man, I want to do that." You know what I mean? So, and he ended up getting into it. But I was training in Santa Rosa. He started training here, but he started training with another group of fighters here in town, and then he started doing his thing. But I was watching him from afar. You know, I would never come home that often. I was doing my thing. I was just stuck training all day long in Santa Rosa, and he started doing his thing and ended up getting into Bellator. Later on, when I moved back, he ended up coming training with me.
Yeah.
You know, he's been doing really well in Bellator. You know, he's fought some big names, and he beat a freaking former UFC champion. Probably, I don't know, he's a Hall of Famer here at Frank Mir, but he's going to be probably a Hall of Famer too.
Oh, for
If
sure.
he isn't. So, I mean, Javi's been doing his thing too. I don't know if he's done fighting. I think he might be done fighting now because he got a new job.
Okay.
Working at the sheriff's, and I don't know if they want him to compete anymore.
Okay.
But, you know, he definitely had a successful career. I think he could have been in the UFC too.
Yeah.
But he liked where he was at.
Right.
You know, he had security right there at Bellator. He was cool with everybody, so he stayed in Bellator. But it would have been cool to see him in the UFC too.
Yeah.
He was at that level where he could have done some good things in the UFC. I think.
Definitely.
I think he would have made like top 15, top 10, maybe. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, so he has the word is he has a nickname. What's his nickname?
What's
Eye
his
candy.
name?
Is it eye candy?
Eye candy, yeah. That's eye candy. Yeah. I was trying to come up with something stupid. It's pretty stupid. But that's his.
I ain't gonna say shit because you won't fucking.
That's my
hell no.
Yeah, I think his boyfriend gave it to him.
You could say that we can.
Yeah.
How'd you guys get your? Because yours is one bad mofo. His is eye candy. How'd you guys get your nicknames?
I think his friend was playing around and just gave it to him, and he kind of liked it, so he kept it. And then me, I used to be. When I got introduced one time, which I had a different nickname at the time. They introduced me at Tachi one time, and they said the Hammer, you know, which is cool. Joe the Hammer Soto. But I was like, what the fuck? They introduced me, and they said Joe the Hammer Soto. I'm like, what the fuck? And later on, somebody was like, oh yeah, one of the promoters was like, oh, I gave you that, and I didn't like it because somebody hammer Mark Coleman had it. He was a Hammer. So I didn't really like that was his nickname, so I didn't like it. And then I think somebody else had it too. Some other guy, the Death guy, for his name. He was Death. He used to fight in the UFC. Anyways, but so I ended up never really liked it, but it stuck with me. Right. You know, on Shirt Dog they put it right away. So I was reading a website one time, and they're like, hey, they were talking about me, and they're like, Joe Soto should change his name to One Bad Mofo. And I just liked the way it rhymed. I thought it was funny. Yeah. So I was like, all right. So the next time I had the announcer introduce me as One Bad Mofo, and it stuck. And, you know, so I thought it was a good nickname. It just sounded good. It went together, and it was kind of funny. Yeah. So. But that's how I got that.
Who's your dream fight? Like, if you had that one person you wish you can go into the octagon with, who you wish you could have fought?
I wish I could have, but I mean, if I was a dream fighter now, TJ, get that rematch.
Get that rematch?
Run it back,
Yeah, but I mean, that was a good fight. Like, I did really well. So yeah, that would be a fun one. I don't know, like besides, but like, I don't know. Maybe Dominic Cruz. I always wanted to fight Dominic Cruz.
Okay.
Too, you know, but I like those two matchups. They're pretty good, but yeah, I mean,
That
I don't
Dillashaw
know.
rematch, huh? It's that
A
Dillashaw.
Dillashaw rematch would have been cool, you know. I
You
wish it
pull
would
up
have
that
happened right
target,
away, you know. But what's that?
You're gonna pull up like at a Target or something and just say, "Hey, what's up, bro? You trying to
What's up, I know. I thought about it before. I see that guy. He's gonna.
Who's some of your favorite? Who's some of your favorite fighters you like to watch?
Actually, hold on.
Go ahead.
One time. Uriah Faber. I always wanted to fight Uriah.
Okay, hell yeah.
I was waiting for that one. I didn't want to say it.
I forgot about that. I thought I was gonna fight him, and I actually wrestled him, dude, in high school. When I was in high school, when I was a junior. Don't forget your question though, by the way.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, but when I was a junior in high school, I went to a wrestling camp in Tahoe, and he was one of the counselors, like one of the coach, guys teaching there, you know.
Yeah.
And he had just started fighting at the time, but he was wrestling with a group of like a couple of college wrestlers, and I stayed after, and I don't know where all the other kids went or whatever, but I stayed after, and I was watching them wrestle. I was like, "Hey, can I get in?" And I fucking all right, so I got in. The first guy was this guy named Jeff Soto. He wrestled at Columbia University, and we started going at it. And I fucking hit him, took him down real quick with the blast double, and then Uriah comes in. We got it. We had a crazy ass scramble. I ended up taking him down, and I'm like, all right. I think I was sick at the time a little bit, so I was like, I'm good, and I was tired too. I just took them both down, and I was like, all right, I'm good, man. They're like, nah, you got to keep wrestling. I'm sick. So I
walked away with your dub, huh?
Yeah, 2-0. But so I sit out. Then the next day, they were wrestling again. And this time, he kind of puts it on me. It's like six takedowns to 3. He wins. And the next time we wrestled again, it's like 9 takedowns to 3. But I mean, it's good ass fucking scrambles and shit, you know. And then we ended up wrestling a match, and like I was supposed to wrestle some other kid. You know, we're high school kids.
Right.
And like everybody, so we get in a huddle. We're like, oh, we shoot the other guy out. The other team shoots the other guy out. So they're doing it to me. I come out, boo, and then they're doing it over there, and then fucking Uriah comes out. Yeah. So then we go at it. He ended up sticking me though that time. He did. Fucking put me. He got cradled my ass. But yeah, so that's kind of. And then I always kept track of him, like. So I think he was fighting in Gladiator Challenge at that time. So that was my junior year. Like after my junior year, that summer, that's when I wrestled. So then when I started training my senior year, I got introduced to Paul, and then I told him about, hey, Uriah Faber. And he goes, oh yeah, I know who that is. And then so then we always kept track of his career after that. And we ended up like when he lost to Tyson Griffin, that was his first loss.
Right.
Tyson Griffin. So he goes, hey, you know that guy Uriah Faber that used to wrestle? I was like, yeah. He's he ended up losing. I was like, well, he lost to Tyson Griffin. Tyson Griffin's another badass wrestler. So then years later, or like a year later or whatever, I'm fighting, or 2 years later, whatever it is, when I'm going to train up north, that's Tyson Griffin's old school. You know, that's where I go train at Dave Terrell's. That's where Tyson Griffin was training. But he ended up leaving to Vegas right when I got there. So, but yeah, kind of weird. But that's another fight. Like Uriah would have been cool. But I ended up getting to train with them, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I got my wish a little bit as far as. But so what was your question?
Oh, I'll say
we had a good training session too.
That's dope.
Who's some of your favorite fighters you love to watch right now?
Right now, Khabib's cool.
Like Nate Diaz or no? The Diaz.
Yeah, I like Nate Diaz when he fights.
When he fights.
I try. Yeah, he don't fight that often, but I mean, he wants that money, so I like Nate Diaz. Well, the Diaz brothers are just Nick's always been like fuck. Like I always, even when I was in high school, I hit him up. Hey, I want to train with you one day. He never got back to me, but I ended up training. I got to train with them. I used to train with them a lot. Not Nick, but I used to train with Nate a lot. But I trained with Nick once. I used to train with Gilbert. But my favorite fighters right now, could be. But who else is good? I like Sugar. What's that? O'Malley's pretty good right now. He's killing it. My friend Cheeto Vera at 35s. I train with him down south. He's gonna fight Sean O'Malley next. That's gonna be a good fight. So Cheeto Vera versus Sean O'Malley. I think it's this weekend. My friend Alex Perez is from Lemoore, and he's killing it right now. I think he's ranked like top 3 in the world at 125.
Okay.
So those guys, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of just like watching anybody. I don't really have anyone in particular.
Is
Well, who
is
do you
there a
guys like?
fight?
Who's your guys' favorite fighter to watch right now?
I'm not me UFC wise. I'm fucking barely getting into it. I'm not really huge on it, but I have a lot of friends that are really, really, really into it.
Oh, okay.
But
But I'll tell you, I've never missed an Anderson Silva fight. Like,
okay.
I was fighting, like, bro, when he broke his leg, like, bro, like that shit was sad to see. You know what I mean? Like,
that was nasty, bro.
That shit was nasty. Always fucking a big fucking Diaz guy. You know what I mean? Love him when he got McGregor and you know that.
Bro, Nate Diaz reminds me of he's like the fucking Rocky of UFC though. Like no defense, he takes fucking a bunch of blows. You know what I mean? But he will not go down though.
Like sometimes they just like to. They could like avoid shit, but like they just like to fight. Like you could be smarter in there, but like sometimes you just want to get into it right away. You know what I mean? I've been there like where I could be more strategic or like.
Does that shit get you going sometimes though? Like just fucking taking some punches sometimes?
Yeah. Sometimes like
I'm Floyd Mayweather with you. I'm running away from that motherfucker the whole time.
I don't know. Like especially, I don't know. Sometimes you just. I don't know. Sometimes
y'all just a fucking different breed, bro.
Yeah.
You're just a fucking different breed.
Yeah, but Nate's the coolest dude. Like, he's one of the coolest people ever, bro. Like, when I first went to go train with him, like, I didn't think I was gonna like him, like, cause what I've seen on TV, like, But when I met him, he was just like the nicest guy. It was just like somebody from my street or somebody from the neighborhood, you know, like just somebody.
He's real as fuck. That's one thing I like about him.
Just real, doesn't hold himself like when you meet him, isn't like you don't think like he thinks he's better than you. You know what I mean? It's just a normal person. He don't carry himself like anything. So he's one of the coolest dudes. One of the coolest dudes I've met in fighting. So yeah. But what else was your question?
What's your thoughts on Fight Island? That's just pretty crazy, right?
That's cool. Yeah. That would have been fun. It's different, you know? It's different. Abu Dhabi too, damn. Yeah, I wish I would be able to fight there too. Yeah, I kind of. What's that?
You think they have like a Magic City there for the fighters and stuff?
I'm sure they have a lot of things there.
Dana White's hooking it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would have been cool. And I like how it is though a little bit like it's kind of cool. It's different. It's like it reminds me of the old Pride fights, like because it's quiet, so you can hear like sometimes you can hear the fighters talking shit. Sometimes you know what I mean if you listen and you can hear the corners commentary.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Pride was like back in the day. I don't know if you guys ever watched Pride fighting, but back in the day, like I used to put on my headphones, and when I was in college, I'd get high, and I would watch the fights, and it's just quiet. Like there's like thousands of like 50,000 fans in the arena, but the Japanese are so quiet. Like, yeah, and then they'll all clap. Like if there's a crazy transition or a crazy, punching.
It's all orchestrated, basically.
Okay.
Kind of.
Yeah, but it's just like they stay quiet the whole time until something good happens and they'll clap.
Yeah.
But they're just quiet and it's kind of a cool vibe. It's different, It's different from the UFC where everything's so fucking loud, and that's cool too. Though that's crazy too because it amps you up. But I like both.
Okay.
I like that there's an alternative. I like that quietness, and I work with just you're not hearing just the fans. You're hearing the coaches. You're hearing the fighters. I like hearing the fighters talk shit to each other.
Yeah, you think there's an advantage for the for the fighters that are fighting in the island? Because there's no fans. You can hear everything. When you're hearing the coaches, even the opponent's coaches, do you think that gives you a little advantage too?
It could, but look, like everybody's different, so like that could be an advantage for like a certain type of person. I think I would do better maybe if there's no fans, like because I get more anxiety before fights. Like I think I could.
Okay.
Like when I first did Bellator tournament, there was like no fucking fans. Like it was brand new, you know what I mean? So like there might be like 1,000 people maybe in a big ass venue, so it's like empty, So I did so well because maybe I wasn't as nervous because of the people, But like some fighters like McGregor, that guy gets off on like having thousands of people there. Like some people need that like atmosphere, and those fans they need that adrenaline, Some people feed off of it, and some people probably do better like this, So it's a pro and con depending on who you are.
All right. So now like a little serious note. This is big. You mentioned a little bit about giving back in, Porterville. What does it mean to you personally to grow up in Porterville and just put it on the map? You know what I mean? Like you talked about kids, You know, being somebody they could look up to, you know, and you know, and it is a sport of fighting, you know what I mean? They could be self-defense, you know, like you believe in self-defense, and what does it mean to be from Porterville, California, brother?
Yeah, no, it's like everything. You know, it's, like I said, one of the main reasons why I did what I did, why I sweated so hard, why I worked so hard, is to try to inspire everybody from around here. You know, there's not a lot going on, so to inspire people to do anything, like, you know, like I know I did fighting, and people will look at that and be like, if he did that, well, maybe I could do this in this music thing, or maybe I could do this in this podcast thing. Like,
There you go.
it just gives the next generation motivation or confidence in themselves. You know, seeing people like the same color as you, or are coming from the same kind of background. You know, came from a poor part of the town. You know what I mean? It inspires them. That's kind of what I wanted to do in wrestling and anything. I just wanted to be great, you know, to be the best, but also to inspire people from where I come from. And I think that's the biggest. More than money, that means a lot to me. You know, like, the money is cool, but I was never in it for money. I was not motivated by money. I was motivated by overcoming my own fears and succeeding and doing things I don't think I could accomplish, and opening the doors, and you know, motivating others. That was like, you know, that's awesome. That was rewarding. It was worth it. You know, taking all those punches, taking all that punishment, all those punches, bleeding. It was worth all the blood, sweat, and tears. You know, to inspire others. I have that a lot. You know, people come up to me, and you know, and you know, they notice me, and they say, you know, they love seeing my fights, or like, I can tell it motivates, you know, the younger generation. Like, that's what it's about, to improve. You know, improve this world, improve every generation that comes after you.
Now, do you want your son to fight, or is it up to him? Cause I be seeing your Instagram, bro. He be beating your ass.
I mean, part of me does, like, you know, the selfish part of me, my ego wants him to accomplish what I couldn't, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Wants him to accomplish, and be a great fighter, be a world champion, make all that money. That part of the selfish part of me does, you know. But another part of me, like, the smarter side of me, the father side of me, like, says, nah, I'd rather him, you know, do something else, like something, like, be more successful in education, like go to college, you know, do something like that, where he can make money like, I can't make money. I mean, I can't fight for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like, I can't make money fighting in the cage forever, because I get old, you know. But you could make money, you know, being an old ass doctor, or, you know, old ass lawyer. You could do that for a longer time. You know what I mean? So, but at the end of the day, it's his life. So wherever he wants to go, whatever he wants to do, I'm gonna support that. You know, obviously, I'm gonna teach him what I know from fighting, and I want him to get self-defense, and I want him to make sure he's confident in himself wherever he goes, because he knows he can defend himself. You know what I mean? And so that's why he's small right now, and since he was young, I've been bullying him, rough him up. You know what I mean? So he's used to getting roughed up. So, you know, he'll be pretty confident in himself, and he's a little bit more adapted to that pain tolerance. And I want him to just be able to take care of himself, you know, and protect himself.
Right.
But that's why I kind of wrestle with him a lot, and I'm teaching stuff. But that's some tools you could use, and just being confident in yourself. You know, it's good to walk down the street and know you don't have to worry about yourself. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't fear anyone. You know, like so that's why I treat people good too. I have no ego. Like, I know what I could do, so I don't have to, like, prove myself or nothing. So it just makes me a better person, I feel. You know what I mean? So that's why I kind of.
Yeah. I think that's pretty dope too, because he's gonna learn from you. You know, made some mistakes in your life, and you're gonna make sure he doesn't make the same mistakes you do. So that's like your little.
I think that helps too with training. Like, I've never been in a fight ever since I started training MMA. Like, I've never been in a street fight ever since I started.
Because nobody wants to test you. That's why.
Not just that.
Okay.
It's just you don't. I mean, because you really, like, if you're in those situations, you kind of know, like, not worth it. Like, just not worth it. You know what you can do. You're confident in yourself. You know you don't have to prove anything, so you can walk away from a lot of situations. You know what I mean? That and you're just tired sometimes. Like, when you train so much, like, there'd be times where I would fight so much. I didn't want to fight. I'm like, fuck, I hope nobody ever starts to fight. I'm so tired right now, bro. Like, I don't want to fight no more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because you got it all out of your system. You got all that like built up aggression out of your system every day. Like it's a good tool, like training, you know.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of why I never fought. But there's been situations where I was close, but thank God, like, yeah, I've never fought since I've started training. So I think it's a good way for him. Once it's just like wrestling and stuff. Like once you get into martial arts and you learn how deadly you can be, you know, it's not wise to use it unless you absolutely have to.
So what's the next move for you right now? Are you training? Are you training kids? Are you doing anything?
Right now, I'm not. I took a break. So like after I stopped fighting, I got a job. I'm working at the DC right now because I needed something. You know, I need some work experience. I never worked my whole life, so finally at 31, I had to get some work experience. I'm like, I need to get a job before I'm like a 40-year-old looking for work and with no work experience. So right now I'm just at the DC. I was running the gym, but I let my friend take it over. I stepped away from MMA for a bit because I just needed a break, and I felt like I hit it so hard for so long. Like I gave it everything, so I wanted to take a break and just, you know, be with my family, and I just wanted to be home a lot more, you know, too. I was traveling a lot, training. So I took a break from everything, and but earlier this year I was thinking about, you know, getting back into training people, getting back into training kids, and then the whole COVID thing happened where like no one could train, you know. So people are starting to get back to gyms now, I think, but right now I'm just kind of playing it safe and I'm kind of just playing it safe until the numbers start falling. So I haven't really been training, but like I said, like 3 weeks ago I broke and finally trained, and it felt good, But yeah, so once all this stuff kind of dies down and once things go back to normal, I plan on probably starting a like kids wrestling program or getting back into things. You know, I kind of want to get into just building people, helping people out, like not just to become fighters or anything, just to be healthy and fit and be able to protect themselves. Right. You know, that's like my biggest thing is I want people to be healthy and fit and be able to protect themselves, give them a place to go where they can take out that aggression and
for sure.
have a sense of community too. What's that?
You have any tips for Willie for self-defense?
I grew up on the good side of town, bro. So I didn't have it.
Yeah. Get a gun.
Just walk away, or just get it done.
Get a gun. Nah. Actually, I mean, I don't want to carry a gun. I don't like guns, but
just get a gun.
But that's like the smartest way, like to be able to protect yourself. Because you wouldn't want to fight.
Away, Joe.
Hey, I carry 2 up here, bro. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, you got it. You got it covered.
Yeah. All right, so moving along. So we have like it's called What's Happening question. It's like this one or that one. Very simple. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, knockout or submission? How do you prefer winning?
I never had a clean knockout. I take that head kick, bam.
Okay. California or Iowa?
Oh, California.
Oh, man. Hey, Tupac or Biggie?
Tupac. West Coast.
Let's go. Sir. Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Christmas.
Okay, nice. Tacos or tortas? Oh, yeah. I see you. Taco Tuesday, too.
Damn. I don't know. That's a tough one. Tacos, bro. I mean, fuck. I feel like I eat more tacos than tortas.
Okay.
So,
liquor or beer?
Wine. Is that liquor?
Ooh.
I drink wine.
On your grown man shit. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, wine.
Conor McGregor or Nate Diaz?
Oh, Nate Diaz.
Okay.
He's my boy. That's my boy, so.
Yeah, gotta rep the homie. Rocky IV or Southpaw?
Rocky IV. I watch all the Rockies. I never watched Southpaw.
You never seen Southpaw?
No.
Oh, bro, you gotta watch that one.
Who's that? Is that?
That's with Jake Gyllenhaal, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did I see Southpaw?
You probably have.
I might have seen it. I think I did see it.
Yeah, I think you probably have.
It's been a long ass time.
Have you seen Never Back Down?
I never seen that one. That's with what's the other guy's name?
I don't know his name.
Yeah.
Wait, fuck, I don't know his name.
The Hardy guy? It's not Tom Hardy in that one, is it?
Oh no, I know what you're talking about. That's a different one. That was a different
okay, that's a different one.
Never Back Down. Oh, you need to watch Never Back Down. I don't
think I've seen that one. I haven't. Yeah. No, so what's the other one? What else you got?
All right. Get punched in the face or kicked in the face?
Like what feels better or what I want to like someone to do to me?
I guess. What would you like?
I've been kicked in the face. I like being punched better. Kind of feels good.
Oh,
Punch is better. Kicked in the face. So I got kicked right in the nose before. Shit's awful.
all right.
Yeah,
Ask me this
yeah.
one, Willie. Let's go to the next one.
Better.
Okay.
This is Willie's question.
Who
Right?
wins in a fight? A California bear or a silverback gorilla?
I don't know. That's a tough one. A California bear or a silverback gorilla? What kind of bear though? Is it a grizzly bear? California
Yeah,
grizzly
fucking
bear?
big ass grizzly bear,
big old
bro.
Grizzly bear, bro.
You
grew up in Porterville.
I like gorillas, but I like gorillas, but I think the bear is fucking.
Oh yeah, that's
with the claws. The
for
teeth.
sure, bro. I don't think gorilla stand a chance. For sure.
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay, good answer. All right, last one. Who's a better wrestler, Joe Soto or Nacho Libre?
Damn.
That's tough, bro. It's fucking tough.
You know it's tough, bro.
Nacho's fire.
Yeah.
That was a legend. That was a legend.
Hey, and he kind of took your style too. He won his last fight, and that was it. He was done.
Yeah, he was done.
Yeah. Nacho.
That's it right there.
Oh, one more though. Out of us two, who's lasting longer in the ring?
Bro, I went to Olive. You know I'm hood, bro.
You gotta go with the Olive Street Tiger, bro.
Come on.
I
ain't got no tracks. You
got no tracks for me?
Yeah.
Damn, bro. Fuck, bro.
Spoiled, bro. We had uniforms. Did you have uniforms or no?
Yes.
Yeah. We had blue and white. Either way, blue and white.
The shorts too.
Well, we wore purple on Wednesdays.
See?
Let's get
last week. Oh, haters, fucking haters. Nah, but anyways, Joe, once again, bro, thank you so much for joining the show, bro. This was a fucking dope interview, man. You told us a lot of good stories we're gonna know about. Once again, man, it's an honor from
really
being from Porterville and being able to have a conversation with you. And
next time, once all this coronavirus thing shit settles down, we'll definitely do like a in-house thing.
Oh yeah,
we'll get together for sure.
100%.
It was cool, bro.
Yeah, bro. Thank you.
All right, good luck with everything, you guys. It's cool. Thanks for having me on.
No, yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Make sure you follow our Instagram at That's How You Feel. We'll get up-to-date news in sports and music, watching hilarious videos, see upcoming guests on the show, and much, much more. Even Joe Soto follows the page, guys. So
man. Make sure you guys follow the page too.
And follow Joe Soto. Yeah,
go
show some love.
Yeah.
Go show some love. Hey, yo, Don B, did we hit him with another one or what?
We hit him with another one, brother.
Yes, sir.